voice every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Oh boy, you are in for a treat today because I have the incredible Nana Ponceleon. She is an award-winning actress, a TEDx speaker, and a synergy and integration coach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, such a pleasure to be here in the lighthouse.
Yes, exactly.
I
Always shining a light. That is my
listen,
mission.
I love that name.
Well,
Very beautiful.
well, we're going to kick it off with my very first question that I always ask, because I believe as we go through life, we meet people, we read books, we're going about our day, and sometimes things are shared with us or touch us in a way that it continues to fulfill and be part of our lives. So to start us off, I'd love to hear, what would you say is one of the best pieces of advice or something you learned that has stuck with you throughout your life?
I'm going to say that it hasn't stuck with me throughout my life because I heard it later in life. But the fact that I am 100% responsible for everything I am and I do is something that it's a daily thought with for me today. And it's tied with something else that came from the same person actually, that, and this is, a lot of people don't believe this, but there is no such thing as ego in the sense that we are responsible for everything that we do. So if we have an ego, we're sort of like putting the responsibility on something else, not me. So it's intertwined, right? It's
Got it.
so
So
if I
listen, tell me, okay, so me and you were on the same page. I totally always say, if something doesn't have the outcome that I desired, it's because of me. I'm the one that didn't do something, right? So me and you are on the same page. I agree with it. Very tough lesson. Like it's a difficult lesson to realize, no, it's not that person's fault or that situation or whatever it is. It's me. So once you leaned into that, how did it change how you look at things?
Well, here's the interesting thing about being responsible, and this ties in with something that you and I have been, messaging, and which is leadership, right? And responsibility is it's a word that people sometimes resist, right? Because me being responsible 100% for everything, it's like, well, I didn't do this, or I didn't cause that, or right? So we think I'm not responsible. However, from the perspective that I'm learning it now, because I'm still in the process of learning this and practicing it, is you're responsible not necessarily for the event and the way it happened, but you're responsible what you do in the face of the event. So you are responsible for everything. You're responsible for those things that you do and cause. And you are responsible for if you see something, New York is flooded. See something, say something, right? On the train and everywhere. And the police says that. So that is your responsibility. It's not necessarily that you caused the accident, but you're responsible for whatever action you're going to take. You might decide not to do anything. And that is your responsibility as well. And you have to assume that and just realize, okay, I'm not doing anything.
Wow.
Under this circumstance.
It's so powerful. I mean, we literally could go on and on about this one because once you have that thought process, everything changes. Everything. And again, we all know it's to your point, it's not what happens. It's what is the next step, right? I mean, I'm in the mortgage business, and most of the people listening to this, we always say there usually is not perfection when you're going through the mortgage process. There is always something that pops up, something out of your control, right? That happens. And okay, so now what do? Okay, so the appraisal came in short. Oh, the borrower went out and bought a bunch of furniture and now their DTI doesn't qualify, right? Or all of a sudden they didn't realize that they went and got a large deposit on their bank statement and now that's going to cause a ripple of things that go into it. Okay, all right. Yes, maybe we could have educated better. Maybe we it's beyond our control if the appraisal comes in short. But now what do? How do we communicate that? What do we do to make that family still feel okay that these are the options now? Okay, it's different than the original conversation, but how do we take that into account? So I love this because it can be applied to everything, personal life, professional.
And it does, because it's, and that's where my learning, constant learning, because I sometimes realize that I'm not taking responsibility for something, right? Something happens and I become aware, okay, Nana, you're not being responsible on this one. So it's just a life thing, and work is part of life, everything is part of life. So and as a leader, and we were talking a little bit about this before, a leader is not a CEO. Yes, they are leaders, and there are CEOs who are not leaders. We're
Yep.
not going to even go there, but a leader is anyone who has this ability to just make people follow them, go with them on the journey, and like we were talking. It could be a mom, it could be a cousin, it could be a sister, it could be the guy at the deli.
Right.
Anyone.
And listen, like we know, right? There is a shortage of leadership collectively, the worldwide, right? Because what is a leader, right? A leader makes you feel safe. A leader makes you feel calm. A leader shows you the way, right? Now, that's not, to your point, it's not a title, right? It could be, it's possible. It could be the leader of the company or organization, right? But to your point also, right? Like take that child. Well, they're looking up to mom and dad and they're like, okay, mom and dad, well, like, is this okay? Should I be like, I'm going to school for the first time. Is it safe? Is it okay? Should I follow this teacher? Right? That's a leader. It's
Absolutely.
someone that you're like, okay, this person, I trust them. I see them, right?
And the child could be a leader.
Ooh.
Right? So we think, oh, leadership, we're going to learn it in college. We're going to learn it here. You learn it in the womb. Leadership is something that you just embrace and do, and taking responsibility
Yeah.
is huge, and it makes you a much better leader. Simon Sinek is wonderful with
Oh,
this,
I love him.
right? I love Simon too. And when he tells the leaders, right, or the wannabe leaders, the people who think they are not and wanna be, you have to be responsible for everything in your organization, everything your employees do, for their well-being, for everything. We're talking basically about the same thing.
I mean, I'm picturing, leaders eat last. Simon's book, right? Leaders eat last. And you think about that, right? As a leader, it's not about you. It's never about you, right? You're taking that care and that concern for all those people that are following you, right? Like they've entrusted their families and their livelihood to you as that leader. So it's not about you, right? You're saying, I'm taking responsibility for you because you've entrusted that to me. So what I'd love to hear from you is, so what would you say is one of the most important leadership traits, right? What is something, if you were speaking to that, let's say you were speaking to that college class right now, right? These kids that are in college that they're like, one day I want to be an entrepreneur, one day I want to run a company. What do you think is one of the most important traits and why?
Well, this is something that brings us to what I do in my
Oh,
workshops,
please
in my
share.
coaching, right? In my talks, which is embracing, and I'm calling it the masculine and the feminine side of us. Simon calls the feminine side empathy, right? That's the big word for him. Vulnerability, Brene Brown, right? They are all talking about the feminine side of us. They just don't say it in those terms, but the feminine side of us is where empathy, love, compassion, wisdom, um, inclusion, which is a big word today, right? All that is the feminine side of us, of all humans. We all have this. So, going to back to your question, to me, a great leader has both sides very developed and they use them fully. I even posted something yesterday because I was listening to another great mentor of mine online, David Guillaume. He teaches Kabbalah, right? And he was talking about 100% effort and 100%. He didn't use wisdom. It was oh my God, the word eludes me. But it was the feminine side too, right? And surrender.
Ah, yeah. Surrender. Such a
Surrender,
difficult
right?
thing.
Surrender also lives in the feminine.
Yeah.
So we develop both of these sides and you become an unstoppable leader.
Mm.
And
Powerful.
very powerful leader, very powerful idea, I think. And our society has diminished the power of the feminine. And when I say feminine, and this word kind of tricks people to think female,
Right,
right?
right,
Woman. This has nothing to do with woman or men. This has
right.
to do with two sides that live in us. And our society has developed for the, very, centuries now on the masculine energy being the powerful, being the one that we enhance. And then that takes us to patriarchy and all kinds,
Yeah.
and the corporations and the businesses, you know. So bringing in that feminine side for a leader, man or woman, will make you extremely, extremely, I'm going to say powerful, though I don't like that word very much because it has a connotation.
Yeah.
People cringe a little bit, but it just enhances you. It gives you um, a wide range or a broad
Yeah.
spectrum of where you can live or what you can do.
Yeah. And you've seen so much change over the last, especially I'll say maybe 10 years. I've seen it, right? Where you see, like, for example, in the state of California, they actually have a requirement that when you put a board together, you have to have a balance of men and women, right? Now, that's a different conversation than what you're saying in female, in masculine, feminine
I have
energy.
something to
But
say there.
okay, all right, wait, go. So I just think to myself, like, I know myself being a woman executive in the mortgage industry. I can tell you that the best, most efficient, effective, successful companies that I've worked with, there was a very healthy balance of masculine and feminine energy. Now, to your point, it had nothing to do with male or female. It wasn't about gender. It was masculine and feminine energy, right? There were certainly many masculine guys that they leaned more to that creative side and that more empathetic side, and that was very healthy, right? And I know for myself, I learned a little bit more of the masculine side for me because that wasn't natural at first, but now it's very natural to me. Like, I understood I needed that balance as a leader, right? So we've seen more openness to understanding this, but I want to hear what you've seen. I want to hear your expertise, and I want to also know what you do with working with your clients. What does that look like? How do you work with them?
So going back, something that I thought
Yeah.
you said, men or women, right? When we talk, and you said it perfectly, beautifully, it's not about
Yeah.
men or having more women in the business or having more men or less no, it's all of us embracing both sides. Now, what has happened over the years with women is that we have entered the workplace and now less than men, but we are CEOs, we are the C-suite, managerial positions, but we are doing it with masculine energy. And that is a problem. And yes, I understand and I get a lot of pushback on this, right? But I worked on Microsoft for 12 years. So I was in
Oh,
corporate.
wow. Yeah, you you
I
got the
know,
picture.
I know. And listen, I was in my masculine in those days. I didn't know
Yeah,
this then. I was like, rah masculine energy. And it started when I was a little girl. But today we got to know that as women, there is a side of us that is very important, not only for the well-being of those that we are leading, but also for our own well-being. You asked me about what I do, right?
yeah,
Integration and synergy
yeah.
coach. And I went to that title from experience, right? What is it that I do? I help you integrate
Got it.
both sides of you to create the synergy, meaning those two together are more than the sum of the parts.
Absolutely.
And then you become this more full-fledged human being, a greater life, a greater um, work life, personal life, and also physical well-being. I have had people I've coached. I started coaching mainly women. That's recently I've started coaching men. They've reached out, and so I'm expanding to both men and women. But some of my clients have even healed from, and it wasn't the main goal, right? The main goal was not, they didn't come to me, oh, I have this or I have that. But in the process of creating this integration and the synergy of both sides of them, some disease that they had just lessened. And they overcame something that was bothering them for decades.
Like chronic.
So yes, because we don't understand our bodies either. And our bodies are impacted by these two sides being torn
Yeah,
apart.
yeah. Wow, that's so powerful. And believe me, you and I are on the same page. I've read a lot about this over the last few years because I've seen so much of it, right? But besides my own personal story, I work with a lot of women's groups within the mortgage industry, and I've seen this friction. I've seen this battle of trying to fit in with so much swaying to the masculine side, but yet it's not healthy. It's not healthy for them physically, mentally, emotionally, because they need to be able to balance that, right? And there are times you have to go to the masculine energy, and there are times that no, that's not the appropriate energy, right? And you have to be able to know when to lean in to each one of those, depending on the situation. And I'm sure that's where your expertise and your specialty in coaching comes in to help them be able to do that.
Yes, and something that I want to say, because people get this impression that, oh, I have to kind of time the thing, right? Oh, I've been
Oh,
too much in my masculine. Oh, let's see, it's time to go to my feminine. No, it's right.
ding! The alarm clock goes off, right? The clock goes
Exactly.
off.
You put it on your stop,
Yeah.
whatever the timer.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It's not like that, right? It's a flow. It's like life. Life is a flow. So you are in a meeting. You're negotiating something. Someone is buying a property. Things get tense.
Yep.
You can ask in the meeting, does anybody need anything? Do you want to take a breath? Do we want to pause for a minute? Are you okay? Ask the person, are you feeling okay? That is the feminine side of you
Yeah.
connecting. And then you swing back to crunching the numbers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, you go back to your masculine. So it's a flow. It's not a this or that, or it's time for
Oh,
this or
I
it's
love that.
it's just understanding what the circumstance needs or what the situation needs. And in that moment, you go to that energy. And there are techniques and there are things that you can do to, like, when you have difficulty going to your feminine, especially women today that are suppressing so much of it, there are techniques and things you can do to just switch and you realize, oh, okay, wait, let me go here
I
because it
love
feels
that.
uncomfortable. Sometimes, it doesn't feel comfortable to be vulnerable or empathetic, or if you're not used to it. Um, so it's a flow, it's a balance. It's going here and there depending on what you need in that moment.
Right. Right. Well, that was a beautiful example because I could picture that, right? I could picture that young couple that, is getting stressed out as they're in the middle of trying to win a bid on a house, right? And the price is going up and they're having a heart attack because they're like, how can I pay this mortgage? This is over my budget, right? And all this escalation is happening, right? And our normal reaction is, oh, I'm going to keep control of this situation and I'm going to, but maybe that, no, why don't we take a pause, right? Why don't we get centered for a moment, right? How are you feeling? Because we can feel this tension. We know
Oh,
what's occurring, right? We know, but we don't necessarily know how to control the change this dynamic, right? To allow us to take a step back and lean into feminine in that example. That's a perfect example that
and
we've all experienced.
and to me, the real estate uh, business, mortgage business, finance, all of that, it is a perfect environment for the brewing of the disconnection. And when you are able to manage these two things as a leader in your industry and help people get there, like this person is too much in their masculine, they're too close, too analytical, that we are emotional beings in general, and you suppress that and trouble is gonna ensue. So learning that yeah, taking care of your customers this way, because it's actually also taking care of them. We all come to these negotiations with a whole lot of baggage and
Yeah,
things, life, and we sometimes think, oh, well, that's disconnected from this because this is business and that is personal. No, I always tell my people, you go everywhere.
that's
You.
right. That's right. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so happy we were having this conversation because this, of course, is only the little sneak peek and a drip of all of your brilliance. So we're gonna go to our final question, and then, of course, we're gonna leave with how people can reach out to you and learn more about you because this is such a powerful conversation, and I know we are only teasing this, so I certainly want them to be able to connect to you and learn more of what you can offer. So my final question that I always love, this is my favorite thing because I believe that when we say things out to the world, we kind of start to plant a seed. So I always like to say, my last question is, if I had that magic wand that takes away any limitation of something that you want to accomplish or bring to this earth while we are here, what would that thing be?
Hmm. That is
I know it's a big question.
It is a big question, and many things come to mind, but I would go back to nature more.
Oh,
I would find a way that people, all of us,
yeah,
go back to, and I'm thinking in limited resources, more
yeah.
more green, more power through nature.
Mm,
Um, and I don't mean by this dismissing technology.
yeah,
We need to go back to the basics in the sense of where we come from and where we're going, right? And I know I'm getting very esoterical here or very spiritual, um, but it is such a powerful tool to connect with nature. So if I could have people be able to work less in offices, in buildings, and allow them to just take more time outside, take more time with their family, with their people that they love, even with coworkers, and um, and go back to just a basic, simple life and embrace that, I'll be happy.
I love that. And I think that is a beautiful gift to the world, that again, like I said, I believe we planted a seed today. So thank you for sharing that. All right, as we wrap up, number one, this was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Please share with the audience, how can they find you, learn more about you, and continue this conversation?
Well, I'm Nana Ponceleon in all my social media, everywhere, like Instagram. I'm not doing too much of TikTok. I started, then I paused, but I do have an account, Facebook, everywhere, and my website also, Nana Ponceleon, LinkedIn. So that's the easiest way.
Awesome. Well, you are amazing. Thank you so much for saying yes to spending time with us. And we wish you all the best always.
Thank you so much.